Never try to pop on the left side, put it up in your mind. It's gonna be alright. I'm here and trying, roll your mind. Here and trying, roll your mind. Here and trying, roll your mind.
So once you have everything back together, this is the final result. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So as a lot of you guys may know, I have this RGB ambient lighting kit installed in my E46, and I made that video roughly about a year ago, and a lot of you guys in the comment section really wanted me to extend the lighting kit towards the doors. So you guys guessed it, in today's video we're going to be completely revising the ambient lighting kit I have in my E46's interior. So this is everything that came in the packaging. The unit I went out and bought was a set that came with 6 LED sources and not 4, because the set I have installed right now only has 4. And because we want to run it to the doors, we're going to need 2 more light sources. So you make sure you have to get a set that has at least 5. The one I got has 6 in it. So the tools you're going to need to get the job done: you need a pair of scissors, a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, some tools to help you pull the trim, a set of pliers, any drill bit that'll fit the L wire through, a Torx 20, as well as an 8mm socket wrench, or any wrench you can find that has an 8mm on it, and then a drill will also help you get the job done a bit faster. So I just uninstalled the previous kit I had installed, just so I can show you guys step by step from beginning to end on how to have this installed. So without further ado, let's head straight into the install. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the shifter boot and pull it up from the back, because you want to pull this shifter boot out. So you just pull it from the back like this. It'll just pop out, and make sure you pull it from the back side because the 2 clips holding it from the front. And then basically you just want to pull up and back towards the back of the car, and then this should pop out like that. And then there's 2 Phillips screws, one right there and then one right there you want to go at. So now that those are out, you can just simply pull this up, and then you want to disconnect that cable right there and that cable right there. So once you have those cables disconnected, you can just play around with this a little bit, and then you should be able to just slip this out. All you basically want to do is angle this like that, and then kind of give it like a weird angle, and then this will just slip right out. So once you have that out the way, you want to open this Phillips screw and down right there. So now that you have those 2 screws out, what you want to do, you want to grab your trim tool puller and pull out this trim right here. So this trim should come out pretty easy, it just pops out, so you just want to work at it a little bit. Just like that, go from it from behind. And there you go, it just popped out like that. So basically when you pull the trim out, for you guys, most likely, there's going to be a little red bracket thing right there, something that looks like this. And then as well, there should be like a little nail sticking out the back of your trim. So my car is missing 2 of them. I guess the other one's still stuck there for some reason, but you basically want to pull out that nail, so it just clips out from the side like that. Because basically you just want to allow space for the EL wire to pull through here, and then so you can run it across the top right there. So now that that trim piece is out the way, what we're going to start doing is prepping the passenger door for the EL wire. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove this trim piece right here, the piece that sits right here along this whole door sill. So how I get this out, I just push it towards the front of the car, and then it kind of just slips out. So it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but basically, you see how I'm pushing it to the front like that? So I basically just push it towards the front of the car, and then it just popped out like that. And then these are all the tabs that are holding it in. And basically later on, we're just going to pull them all out, put them into this, and then just stick the trim back on. So now that this trim piece is out the way, you're going to want to open up the glove box. And there's 1, 2, 3 Phillips screws at the top. And then there's one more behind the little press thing over here. And then there's another one behind this cable. And how this cable just comes out, you just have to pull at this little tab right here. So once that cable is out the way, right there, you have access to the Phillips screw. There's also one more Phillips right here, right under the glove box. So after you take that last Phillips screw out, you basically want to go from underneath, and then you'll see where the glove box kind of clips into the dashboard. And basically what you want to do, you want to pull the glove box a bit downwards, and then at the same time, pull it out towards the back of the car. And then you'll see the whole thing kind of just drops out like this. So I basically just have the glove box sitting like that because that's all the space I really need to start working on the door. So now what you want to do, you want to pull off this trim piece right here. So there's one tab around right here that holds it in, and then there's another one at the top around right here. You just want to be careful because this is pretty sturdy in there, and just try not to scratch up the trim while you're pulling it out. But you should just pull it towards the inside of the car and it should pop out. So I think that one tab's already out, and then there's one, oh, right there. So now what you're going to want to do, this is held in by a clip right here, and then this is a tab right here. So you're going to want to pull out this tab and then open up this clip, and then that will give you access to this tunnel right here. So now I have this tab out. What you can do to give you a lot more space, you can just pull this towards the back of the car, just like that. And then this kind of just like goes down like that. And then if you want to disconnect it, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then this will give you a lot more space to play around with. And basically what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be drilling a hole through this and making sure I don't hit any of the wires, because that will give us access to the other side of that. So the clip that sits right here, you just push it in and then you can pull it towards yourself and it will pop out. And then the grommet that sits right here, you just pull out and then it'll come out. And then what I'm gonna do is just poke a hole through it so I can feed the EL wire through. Also go ahead and undo the 10mm bolt right there. It sits right here, and then you can just pull this out like that. So after you go ahead and do all that, now you wanna pull the door card off. So to take the door card off, there's a screw behind this. This will just pop out with any flathead. There's also a screw behind this, and this will also pop out with any flathead or trim tool puller. And then there's a Torx 20 right there. Another one right there, and then another one right there. So now they have all those screws out. You want to go from behind the door trim. It would really help if you use a flathead. And basically all you're going to really do is kind of pull it towards yourself. Try your best not to scratch your paint, but then you'll hear the clips go. And basically when you're pulling it off, you just want to be careful for this, the lock mechanism. Make sure it doesn't get stuck as you're pulling it out. And then there's going to be a cable connected directly to this and towards the two speakers. So now that the door card is off, what I did, I just pulled this insulation a bit back so I could kind of see. It's really hard to get it on camera, but basically the other end sits around right there, and you basically want to run the EL wire through there, through the tunnel, and then pop it out of over there. I can see with my eyes, but it's almost impossible to get it on camera. But if you guys look, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And basically just want to run the EL wire through here. So now what I'm going to be doing, I grab my EL wire. I'm basically going to route it. First I'm going to put the grommet back on, but I'm going to route it through the grommet into this tunnel and then route it through here. This part is going to be super meticulous. Just take your time on it. It'll work out. All right, so I have the EL wire pulled to here. I routed it through there. And basically what I also realized is that this grommet, if you pull towards the inside of the car, this will pull out. And basically winding the EL wire through that is going to be really hard. So what I'm going to try to do is tape the end of this EL wire to the screwdriver like this. I basically want to tape it on and see if I can feed it through. Because if I hold this in a certain way where it's like nice and straight, I feel like I could feed it through. So basically just like this, I tape the EL wire to the screwdriver, and I'm just going to see if I can stick it through and wire it through the other side. So I ended up doing that, and it actually ended up working. So basically just a quick tip on what you guys want to do. You want to stick it on just like that, and you want to leave a bit of the EL wire sticking past. So basically you just, once you see it, you just grab it, pull it off the screwdriver, because the screwdriver is not going to fit through this. So you just pull it through, you take it off from the screwdriver, and then you just feed it. And now you have to feed it through this hole, and then see if you can pull it out through behind this cover right here, around there. So as you guys can see, I went ahead and I pulled the EL wire through here, and I fed enough, so I have way more than enough to cover the whole door and go behind it. Because if you come short, then it's really hard to wire some more, but if you have extra, then you just cut it at the end and then it will be fine. So make sure you wire through a lot more EL than you really need, just to be safe. And then yeah, now I'm just going to put this back together. I'm going to put this back together, put the 10mm bolt back, and then tidy everything up over here. So now that I have everything tied up over there, bolted everything back in, EL wires fed through here. We have two options for the door cart. We could either drill a hole right here, so it's nice and seamless, and it goes along that whole line, or from behind, I could just run it through here, and then have it go along the whole way. Honestly, both ways don't matter. I think I'm just going to not drill the hole and just go this way, because when the door's closed, you won't even notice it. And even when the door's open, you're going to have to be really looking for it to notice it. So I'm just going to go that way, just so at least I'm not drilling any holes in my door card. And keeping it nice and OEM. So I also went ahead and stuck the EL wire behind the insulation right here so it stays nice and put. And then all I'm basically going to do is just stick this door trim back on. So now the door cart's back on, you just want to make sure that you clip in every clip from all the sides. And you also want to make sure that you have your door handle in, as well as the speaker wire here and here. Once that's completely in, I made sure that the EL wire was coming right at the beginning of this line. So you see it lines up pretty well. So I'm basically just going to run it along this. So now what you want to do, you want to grab the piece that holds the EL wire into the trim and measure exactly from the beginning of here all the way to the end of here, and measure it nice and exact, and then cut one to size. So basically what I did, I took the beginning of one end, I ran it along the whole way, and then I left it here, and then I'm basically just going to cut it like right there. So as you guys can see now, I have the EL wire routed through the whole way, and then I'm just going to cut it at the end right now. And then I'm just going to have to find a way to stick this to the door cart. I might just end up using tape or maybe even gluing it somehow, because I just don't want it to dangle like that. So now, I want to route the EL wire up towards the glove box, so I'm just going to route it like this. I'm going to put this clip back in, put this tab back in, and then now I'm just going to start putting the glove box back together. So first things first, you want to take this level back, and you want to stick it back. So remember earlier how I pulled it out like that, just make sure that's there where it was. And then you want to put this shoulder back, and then put the glove box in after. So I put that shoulder piece back, the EL wire pops out at the top like that. I'm just going to place it in the glove box. And then, oh, I just dropped my phone. So basically, I'm just gonna place it right there and then put the glove box back in. Alright, so to put the whole glove box assembly back together, you just want to make sure that the smaller screw actually ends up going on the left side of the car towards the inside. Because I noticed when I pulled the one behind each of these straps out, one of them was bigger, so make sure it's the one towards the outside of the car. But other than that, you can see the EL wire is nicely routed through here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hook up the system itself, hook up this light, and then end up doing the rest of the car. So for the EL wire that I'm going to be using to run along the whole dash, I'm basically just going to be using the one I had for my last installation. But all you want to do, cut one to size, make sure the EL wire runs about 2 to 3 feet longer than the actual holder itself. You want to run it through here, and then it'll pop out in your fuse box. So if I just feed it like this, and then I run my hand just like that, this runs into the glove box, and then this will hook up to another light source. So I basically have this EL wire set up where I'm going to run it from under the red thing. It's because the nail is just going to keep it nice and tight, and then I'll run it throughout the top like that. So now that I have this trim piece in, I'm going to go ahead and start hooking up this. So I'm just going to go ahead and hook up my flashlight port adapter. This should be fairly straightforward as I just plug it in. And just like that, it's hooked up. I also already went ahead and just plugged these in. And then as you can see, it's working. And for some reason, it kind of like dies down right here. And then I noticed like a direct, like it lights up again. There might be like a kink or something right there, but I already put the whole door cart back on. But it still looks really good. So now I went ahead and hooked everything up. I kind of organized everything in that corner just so it stays nice and tidy. So the next three, I'm going to route behind the glove box, run it under this trim piece over here. I'm going to leave 2 of the light sources here. And then the last one, I'm going to extend back to under the driver's footwell. So now as you can see, I'm running the cables from behind the glove box. And they pop out around right here. And then I'm just going to zip tie them to the LED footwell light wiring I have over here. And then I'm just going to run them over here like that. So I zip tied those up as best as I could. And then I ran the wire, all 3 LED sources. I just jammed them under this trim right here. I pulled them out of there. As you can see, if I push on this part, just stick them through. And then I have these 3 just over here. So now that the passenger side of the car is done, the door over here, I'm going to go ahead and quickly just put this trim piece back on and then move on to the driver's side. So to put this trim piece back on, instead of sliding it back on, I found it easier just to pull out these tabs right here. And then there's also one more over there. And there should be one over here, but mine's missing. And I'm pretty sure there also should be one here, but also mine's missing. So I'm just going to pull these out, reattach it to the trim over there, and then just stick it back on. So now that I have that done, I'm going to basically manage 2 of the light sources in here, because then I'm going to hook up one here and one here. And then I already have these pre-cut because I'm just gonna use the same ones I had from my last installation. So basically all you have to do is lift this up slightly and then stick these there and then hook them up in here. So as you see, I have them hooked up, one right there, one right there. And then with all the extra cabling, I just zip tied them together and I just jammed it over here just so it doesn't interfere with the shifter at all. And then I have one wire left over for the light source that I'm gonna wire from here and then leave it somewhere under the footwell. So then I can just manage the cable and run the yellow wire to that door. So now that I have that cable sticking out from under there, what I'm gonna do is take off this big plastic piece that sits on the footwell. So there's one tab over there that you spin. There's a pull tab, so you just wanna grab a flathead, pull this out. And then I believe there's a Phillips screw right here, one right here, and then another right there. So once you have that down, you basically wanna do the same thing as you did with the other side. So you're gonna look up under here, behind the insulation, the grommet right there, you want to poke a hole through it, feed the EL wire through, and then see if you can get it through here. So obviously you want to pull this off first. So you just want to take out the 8mm bolt right here, and then taking out the door card is the exact same process as the other side. So you want to go off and take this door card now. So the process is exactly the same for the driver's side door, except to get the mirror control, you just have to go from behind and stick your finger up in there, and then you can pop it out from behind, and then you can just disconnect it. Okay, so now that the door card is off, that bolt is out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this towards the inside of the car, so I'll pop this out, and then I'm just gonna start feeding the EL wire through it again, and then use the same screwdriver technique I used for the other side. Okay, so as you guys can see, here's the EL wire. I ran it through there, comes out of here. I did the screwdriver technique, came out of here, and now it's out on the other side. Now I'm just gonna run it through inside the door, and then put the door cart back on, and then wire the rest of it up. Okay, so now the EL wire cabled completely through. It's hooked up. I also cut it to size. And you guys could see. I'll just put this in real quick. Look how it lights up. So basically what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna cut this a bit short. I'm gonna tuck it above this so then it doesn't dangle anywhere in the footwell, and then just run the rest. And then if there's extra cabling over here, I'm just gonna pull it back and have it sit in there. Alright, so I put back together the top of the footwell, and I have this much basically left over, and I cut this much off the EL wire. It's basically just sitting on top of that on the other side. So now I'm just gonna wire this nice and tidy over here. I'm just gonna leave the leftover over in here. So I basically cabled the rest of the cable back up into here. I zip tied it so it stays nice and tight and it doesn't interfere with the shifter or the shifter boot. And then other than that, we're basically done. So you just wanna put back those two Phillips screws, put back this trim, and then don't forget the two Phillips screws that go right here. So once you have everything back together, this is the final result. Guys, honestly, this kit really came out amazing. Like at night, the vibe is just like untouchable. Like it's just so nice in here. Especially for like an E46, like a mid 2000s, early 2000s car, to have something like this is just such a cool mod. It's just so visually pleasing at night. And honestly, at the end of the day, it wasn't too hard to install either. It was fairly straightforward. It was a bit meticulous, but I feel like it was well worth the install. So after watching the install, what do you guys think? Me personally, considering how cheap this mod actually is to do, I got my set for around 40 bucks off eBay. And then installing it was fairly easy as well. And just the vibe you get at night, it just completely transforms the interior, and I feel like it's well worth it, especially for the money. And on top of that, considering that this car is like a mid 2000s to early 2000s interior, adding this mod just makes the interior of the car feel so much newer and so much more updated. It's definitely a really good way to modernize your car's interior. And on top of that, just add a really cool vibe at night. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found it helpful. And if you guys have any questions, just leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.